Welcome to the Two Robbies podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Arsenal humble Manchester City with a 5-1 statement win that gives the Gunners momentum in their title push and leaves Pep Guardiola somber in defeat. Liverpool face a tough test against an informed Bournemouth, but Mo Salah's pair of goals sees Liverpool maintain their steady lead at the top of the table. And despite Ruben Amorim's experiment at striker, it's another defeat for Manchester United against a lively Crystal Palace. That's what we've got coming up in today's episode. And just before we get cracking on it, Rob, you know what? We always kind of say, don't we? And I almost feel like you say it every show, like it's a great weekend in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I want to make an argument, right, that every single result in the Premier League this weekend is a statement, is a headline, is a story. I'll run through them real quick. Arsenal 5, Man City 1. That's kind of a statement. Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 2. Strong away from home at a strong Bournemouth. Man United losing at home to Crystal Palace 2-0 is also a story, a headline. Nottingham Forest 7, Brighton 0. Wow, what a performance from Forest. Wolves beating Aston Villa in a local derby 2-0 is another headline. Brentford 0, Spurs 2. Spurs played really well, conservatively effective. That's a headline.
Yeah.
You've got Everton 4, Leicester City 0. You got Fulham going to Newcastle United and winning 2-1. And you got Ipswich Town, desperate for victory, losing at home to Southampton, the worst team in the Premier League. Every single result was like, wow, that's kind of interesting.
And I think it plays into, Rob, why people, not necessarily us, but other people talk about it being the best league in the world, why it's got the most money in the world, the most watched in the world. I probably, Robin, I was thinking about this, had this sort of, and I feel strongly with Danny Higginbottom recently about, Danny was talking about maybe teams should play a bit longer than everybody's playing a certain way. And I sort of said to him, I think right now the Premier League is as tough and as challenging as it's probably ever been. And I'd almost go to Rob saying, in terms of coaches and the depth and quality of coaches, I'm not sure we've ever had a better Premier League. Hence why you can say that, you know,
you see these,
we're talking about these, you know, Vitor Pereira goes in at Wolves. Yeah. He's got something about him, mate. He's you know what I mean? He's not one of those like, oh, put him in for 6 months, let's see how it goes. He's got this team playing, and you can go through that for a number of teams. So it's a really good point you make, and really interesting on the league. And it's why, Rob, when we get big games, like at the Emirates, when Arsenal are hosting Manchester City, we don't quite know what to expect. And we don't quite know if City might turn up. Showed signs with one or two of the new signings coming recent weeks, and they might get a result. Or, Rob, they might get a spanking, as they did 5-1, and Arsenal come out winners in what was an important day, I felt, for Mikel Arteta and his team. Statement win is the kind of in phrase, but I thought it was a belief win. And I think it's a win that marks Arsenal really as the only really serious contender to Liverpool winning the title.
Yeah, it was some game, mate. It's kind of it's a pleasure really to sit and witness that and to see the emotion from the stadium and the reaction from the players and the celebration from the players and the quality performances from individuals that we'll get into. And the way the game was affected by the young players of Arsenal, the goals that were scored, the fact that when Erling Haaland scores at 1-1, Rob, soon after half-time, I'm starting to feel nervous for Arsenal. Because City in the first half, after they had a terrible start, they tried to play out and they gave some bad opportunities away. They were behind. But their football started to not dominate, but they started to get comfy as the away team starting to play. They get the equalising goal. And then you're a little anxious for Arsenal. But as I said afterwards, I didn't see that coming, that Arsenal went to a whole new level, Rob. They went to a whole new level that blew away Man City, that blew them away. And the little details that we've said about Man City for a long time now, missing Rodri, missing new players, missing defence, missing being able to keep the ball as well as they normally do, that all came home to roost in the last 30 minutes or so, where Arsenal's physicality, youth, desire just took over the game. And as I said to Rebecca, Rob, I feel like when Arsenal are at their best, they're spreading the goals around. They spread them around today, Rob, that, you know, they don't really want to have to rely on one player's going to get 20, 25 goals, as other teams maybe do. Goals from different areas, performances that we'll get into from certain individuals that was just next level. And I'll start, Rob, before I throw it back to you. The back four of Arsenal, I am loving more and more. Yuri Timber is he looks $1 million. Super aggressive, quick, good defender, really good going forward. Gabriel and Saliba, we ain't got to talk about those.
No.
And Myers Lewis Skelly, that we will talk about, looks comfortable, gets his goal. Fans love him. He's powerful. God, that's a back four. Anyway.
He's more than comfortable, mate. He's more than comfortable. Let me tell you. And by the way, and the goalkeeper behind them, who doesn't always get the credit, and I've been one of them who at times, Robert said, I'm not sure if he's quite
me
level.
Too at the beginning.
Come up with a couple of brilliant saves, and Tim Howard did with you did a couple of really good breakdowns on just what that is and the balance and the reaction and the timing. So you're right, mate. I'm with you. What happened for me after 60 minutes in the game, Rob, was that Arsenal did to Man City what Man City have done to teams over the years. Their possession of the football took over the game and dominated the 30 minutes of football that was at another level, that was at City-esque level. One of the things I was thinking about for Arsenal going into this game is not only do there's a double kind of jeopardy for Arsenal. The jeopardy first is to get their business done, to get the points to win. And the second bit is about, really, they're the only team who are going to chase Liverpool down. Yeah. So they've got to do that to keep Liverpool honest and keep a title race. So you talked, I think the backs and you and Tim talked a little bit about emotion and edge and things at the beginning of the season. And I felt that in the stadium that was going to be important. And it kind of came out as that, like to that 60 minutes. I think everybody got a sense like, at 1-1, and then City's football started. Marmoush started to have a little influence. Foden's influence in the game got better, and you started to think, this could be a problem. And then Arsenal went again, and it was so important. They did go again, Rob, for them, for the team, for the manager, for the sets of fans, for Kai Havertz, who possibly looked like he lost his nerve on the first chance. He has important for him to get his goal and be a part. And it's interesting, Rob, that you've said about the goals being spread out, and they are, and it was almost atypical Arsenal performance. We don't hear nothing about the number 9 today, Rob, the guy who's up front. And let me chuck a contrast to you where Man City have got the guy up front, the 20-goal a season man. Do you know for 37 minutes of that game, Erling Haaland never touched the ball?
I know.
I read 37 minutes of a game. Yeah. Now, what I would say, Robert, to Arsenal fans and people who keep saying, they need a 10, they need a finisher. Arsenal's football and dominance comes from their ability and their possession and their build-up. And I think if you take a man out of that, almost in the Haaland-esque, who isn't going to get too involved, he doesn't come and show to midfield players and link the play. He just waits at the end of the thing. I don't think Arsenal are the same team. I don't think Arsenal have the same danger. I'm not sure Arsenal have the same possession. So I think the team that they've got and the way they've got, they're not short of goals, Rob, this Arsenal team.
No.
They can get goals, but they're going to come from different places around the team and not be reliant on the 20-goal-a-season Haaland-esque striker that Manchester City have.
And also players that, Rob, in this game as well, that have been a little bit maligned, and sometimes not fancied. This isn't, this is, I think the goalkeeper and the back four are the very best that they can put out there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you got Martinelli that's been, some people are not sure about him. Six goals. Trossard's been really good, but again, people, and the next player I'm going to talk about, Rob, is, again, like, I think the fans will feel like, if he goes, that's fine. Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey had a game today. Thomas Partey, when he plays well, he looks amazing. Like, he really, really does. There's lots of times when he looks a little lazy, Rob, a little sloppy. His game's a little slow. But when he's at his best, God, he's important, And he got his goal, of course, today. And his general play, he's breaking up the play, he's looking after the ball. His goal was interesting, though. I did a little illustration on our highlight. As the ball is played by Phil Foden. If you watch Thomas Partey, if people out there can rewatch this, I think he's absolutely aware what Phil Foden's going to do with the ball.
He's reading it.
He looks at his eyes and he sees Phil look up and he knows there's a player to his right, Partey, and he stays where he is. Go on then. I know you're going to play it. I'm not going to put you off playing it by stepping in the way. I'm going to wait till you get your head down. He puts his head down. He plays the ball. Thomas Partey reads it. Thank you very much. Goes forward and scores a goal. So big deflection, but still a goal. And that was right after Erle and Haaland scored. So the reaction after Haaland scored to make it 1-1, I know it came quickly. I know there's a deflection. But Arsenal's kind of, I don't know, mate, the desire and drive of the team that are trying to win a Premier League title, that feel frustrated that Liverpool have been so good that when Man City drop off, it's not them that are at the very top. We spoke about that in the studio today a little bit. And, you know, in terms of what that does for them, Rob, and I'll put it as a question to you, given that performance today and who it was against and the manner of it, does that automatically elevate them onto a different level of performance now that are really, that we know they're waiting for Bukayo Saka to come back, and that might still be a few weeks away. But is there a new level of belief and confidence in what they can do and performance level to continue a really great run?
Absolutely. Yes. Because, Rob, over the years, Man City have had it over Arsenal, and almost like Arsenal with a little brother who you know, tried really hard, but City had it. And Pep would say nice things about Arteta and lovely things about Arsenal, but he'd give them a spanking, Rob, and he beat them. And I think today we saw for the first time an Arsenal team. Listen, we know it's not City in their best form. We know it's City missing a number of players with injuries. But when the game was in the balance, when it got back to 1-1, Arsenal kicked on again in the second half, dominated possession, didn't feel sorry for City, got about their business, Rob. And you talk about Saka's missing, who's their best player, the most productive player. We keep seeing shots of him. You know, him coming back is going to be a massive bonus. But for the group who are here, Rob, who I think you've talked of in recent weeks, like they've hung in a couple of games. Listen, last week against Wolves, down to 10 men, they found a way, they hung in and they got a 1-0 win, which was just as important as a 5-1 win today. Those results, Rob, are the belief that they can get this done. And I want to talk about one young man and two. Miles Lewis-Skelly, who scored the third goal, which was, I thought, the moment of the game, the moment the game changed. He gets the ball from Rice, gets slapped to him on the half turn, the back space, what they call it now. He gets in, he shows left foot, he goes right foot, he bends it in. And do you know, Rob, for all the transfer window's closing tomorrow night, and, you know, there's millions of dollars been spent and millions of dollars are going to be spent, you can't quite beat an academy, my friend. And when you are developing Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri, who came on and scored another beautiful goal, Salah-esque, Saka-esque, my underappreciated performance of the week goes to the Arsenal Academy. It's run by Per Mertesacker, used to be the centre-back, who takes a job really, really importantly in terms of developing, Rob. And the lift that these two players have given, as well as the performance, as well as the 100 million you spend on a Declan Rice, who's outstanding and a great role model, but to bring these kids in, and to be honest, this Lewis-Skelly kid, by the way, Rob, what is he, 18 years of age or something? I mean, is ready. People are talking like he's Ashley Cole-esque. Maybe Ashley's a more athletic, maybe a little bit more nimble, but this boy can play. He's powerful. Doesn't look like he gets overawed. The sort of left foot feint to go right foot to score is top class quality technical ability. He's got a nice way about him. He's got a connection with the fans. I just think, Rob, on in a time when PSR is important now, and we know that, you know, homegrown players have a cachet, Arsenal and what they're developing, and that's not forgetting Saka's and Martinelli's and the others who are coming through the ranks. On a day like today, with all the big noise and all the fanfare, that academy, mate, has served them well.
Yeah, it's a 1,000,000% agree. I mean, it's such an underestimated part of a football club that you can save so much money if you develop your own. There's a connection with the club, Rob, when you've been through the academy. Often they're, you know, local kids or Arsenal fans. Not always. It's impossible to get a total academy full of those guys. But it's a great point, and it's a valid point. There's been players, Smith Rowe and Robbie and a few others that have come through in recent seasons. And if they don't make it in the first team or...
Nketiah is an example, isn't he? And then they sell him for good money to Crystal Palace.
Yeah, but the ultimate is to be effective players in the first team. Not just players that can hold up their own and do okay, but players that can be really key parts of the team. And Lewis-Skelly, absolutely right. There's nothing more I enjoy, and I've only been saying this recently, is when Miles Lewis-Skelly picks up the ball, right, Rob, around the halfway line, and he's looking up, and there might be a couple of options passing. He might have an outside or might go back centre-back. But he gets the ball, and he runs through the middle. He dribbles through the middle. He runs away out of trouble, out of pressure, out of a press by not dribbling, but just pushing the ball forward and running through the lines. His acceleration, awareness, strength, because there's often he gets buffeted going through there. But when I see him do that, that's special, and that doesn't half help when you can break a line of players, then you're on the front foot. It's a great shout. Waneri as well, the confidence that he's got now, the way that these two are going to grow with this team. It's like a couple of spectacular signings that you pay a lot of money for that look really, really good, that you're thrilled about. Well, you have that with young players coming through the academy. So that, and then times 10, given the connection with the club and the history with the club. So it's a really good shout, Rob. Just before we move on, let's have a quick line of Man City, because there was moments where I thought some of their football was good. There was some good football. Pep said that he was really happy up to about an hour. Then they fell away. Maybe they had to give more in their Champions League game to get into the knockout stage or the playoffs now that they're in, compared to Arsenal that can coast a little bit more, make a few more changes. Have they stopped the rot? Are they moving forward, or are they still such a long way away from what we're used to seeing?
I think they're in like a holding pattern, mate. To be totally honest, it's not as loose and kind of fragile as it was, but I don't think it's anywhere near as robust as what it needs to be. No, I think it's a holding pattern. And I guess, Rob, between now and the end of the season, that might be the case. What I tend to think, what Pep is going to try and do, and I saw him do an interview today, and he said, like, some of our players are getting older and tireder, and the manager's getting older and tireder. And I just wonder, Rob, whether he's going to pick specific days, specific moments when he's going to ask for everything. And other days maybe sort of accept that it ain't going to be the same. And I've looked, Rob, just at their next few fixtures I just wanted to go to.
It's difficult,
They got Madrid in the...
They got FA Cup next, Cup. Yeah, Leighton they went away,
Leighton went away. Real Madrid at home in the Champions League. Newcastle United at home in the Premier League. Away at Real Madrid, second leg of the Champions League. At home to Liverpool in the Premier League, away to Spurs in the Premier League, mate. Right there could decide where. And I mean, at this stage, knowing the team as they are, if there's a fragility against Real Madrid, and we know what Real Madrid, how they can get the business done, Man City might need to be top 4 to get well, actually, could go to 5, but might need to be top 4, top 5 to get Champions League football next season.
Yeah. And I think that'll be on the mind of the club now. They need to be. I think it is going to be 5. Apparently, the English team getting an extra place in the Champions League based on is looking good, given the qualifying and the group stages of these European competitions. So it's likely to be 5. I think they'll probably do that. They've got new players that have come in, but they're definitely going to go through transition. The club have got money to spend. They haven't spent a ton, have they, over the last recent seasons, really? I don't think.
No, not so much. I mean, people are going to leave on there. People are going to leave as well. It's the whole chemistry needs change. And again, mate, just one for you there that I heard somebody say that Manchester City have conceded more Premier League goals than Manchester United. I mean, just incredible, isn't it?
I know.
However bad United have been.
Yeah.
And Man City are 4th,
Yeah. I mean, what a game though, mate. What a blooming game that was. And when we're coming back into the studio, like, I think I'm still smiling because it's such a great game to see. It's like, wow, it's an absolute honour to be able to react to these games and the way that they played Arsenal, and fair play, mate. They're keeping Liverpool honest, as you said, and we'll see. But that was some level they reached today. It's a brilliant victory, 5-1, Arsenal against Manchester City.
Yeah. Let's take it to Vitality Stadium, where Liverpool had what many thought was a difficult task against an informed Bournemouth team. 4 past Newcastle, but 5 past Forest recently. Even with players out, we know Earle, the way he plays, with that atmosphere down at Bournemouth, where Liverpool have had a couple of difficult days in the past. I think I remember Klopp Day and a Mo Salah missed penalty day. So it was certainly going to be a serious test. And I think, again, Rob, the biggest thing to say is the test was there. Liverpool found their way past it. It hasn't been spectacular at times. It's not your heavy metal Jurgen Klopp, but it's getting the job done. I feel in a less dramatic way than we've seen Liverpool in the past.
Yeah, I thought Liverpool were excellent, Rob. I mean, that's a difficult place to go, and we know what Bournemouth are all about. Everybody knows what Bournemouth are all about. They're the great disruptors. They know how everybody plays. The manager prepares the team, and they get on their front foot, and they get physical, and they stop the advantage of the team, or they do a great job of stopping the strengths of their opponents. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it against Liverpool. No. Tried to. Liverpool's football, Rob, and taking care of the ball and possession and sharpness and concentration that we often say for teams, they were sloppy, didn't start well, didn't get their football going. Not with Liverpool in this one. It was the opposite. I thought they were really good. The only thing you would say is they gave up a couple of shots that hit the post. Could it have been a different... Yeah, that's the... Other than that, I thought it was almost a perfect team performance. And Mo Salah gets the headlines, Rob, and rightly so. The quality that he has, the second goal is a beauty. But the team around him don't have to work hard. They don't have to work hard. And a couple of players that I would pick out would be Dominic Szoboszlai. Just look at his engine. And I'm not talking about running forward, but just running back to nick the ball away from an opponent or making a little tackle. And Ryan Gravenberch. Now, these aren't players that... But again, when you see them play and you see their influence on the team, it was really, really great. Cody Gakpo's another one, Rob. He gets a penalty, doesn't he? Runs through, gets clipped.
Yeah, he gets penalty.
Accidental clip, but it's still a foul.
Yeah, it is a clip.
I like the consistency of Cody Gakpo. I mean, he's not the most spectacular or beautiful player the way that but you know exactly what you're going to get from him, and I love it. I love it. He works his socks off. He makes runs in behind. His attitude, his performance level is the same every single week against whatever opponent it is. And I like that. I really like that you know what you're going to get from one of your 11 players. I thought Liverpool, Rob, and again, we sort of said at the start, and maybe not a huge statement when you see it on a piece of paper, Brentford against Liverpool, but given what we've seen over recent weeks, I just thought Liverpool, again, are making winning games look pretty blimmin' easy.
Yeah, I'd agree. And the points I had in terms of it's a win that I put win for consistency, for calmness, and a win for control. Those are the three things, Rob, that Liverpool have added. Yeah. So we're not seeing some. I know there's a couple of shots rattled off the ball, but a Bournemouth team that's got threats from a number of areas, including set pieces. Alisson had to make a couple of saves, as the goalkeeper does in good teams, but did what he had to do. Yeah. I think, Rob, they only had, I think it was 2 or 3 shots on target. I know the post doesn't count Bournemouth, so they've reduced that again. I just feel as though I've got to give a special mention to Mo Salah, my friend. And I know we talk about the Gravenberch and the Szoboszlais and the Gakpos. 21 goals, mate, this guy. 21 goals with 2/3 of the season or so to go on. I think it's 5th season now he's had 20 plus. I'm really interested to hear what Virgil van Dijk said about, not only is he a great guy and a great goal scorer, he said he works really hard for the team on the defending. And the line that Van Dijk said that still with him, he said he doesn't particularly like defending, but he still works really hard at it, which I thought was just so telling of this team right now. And the other one I want to mention in that mould, Rob, in terms of individuals, is Van Dijk, really.
Oh, yeah.
He's 33 years of age. Yeah. He's the least spoke about in terms of the contract and the media stuff. We've had the Trent stuff. We've had the Mo trying his bit. This guy's got on with it, got his head down.
Yeah.
Would be a massive loss. If Virgil van Dijk got a bad injury, and God forbid it happens, but picked up a kind of injury, Rob, that was going to keep him out for a majority of this season, Liverpool would be in real jeopardy. He's irreplaceable for them.
Yeah, he is. In terms of leadership, Rob, and pulling people around, totally agree with that. Last point I want to make, and this is just the way it is at Liverpool, and whether it's luck or judgment or management from the sports science to physios, everybody's fit. I looked at their bench. Well, I read the bench off right now for this game. Endo, Darwin Nunez, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, Jota, Tsimikas, Quansah, Conor Bradley. I mean, if you ain't got another team there...
By the way, most of whom played midweek in Europe because they'd already got through. So many of the first-team players had a rest during that time. So managing minutes, like you say, the sports science bit.
I mean, there's been a bit, Rob, about Liverpool. You know, I think I read an article by, I can't remember, an ex-player, a pundit, sort of saying, well, they missed a trick, Liverpool. They've been very quiet in the market again. Could they have done this? Could they have done that? I mean, what do you need? Maybe a left back? You know, Robertson, I think, is playing better now. What do they need?
Yeah, it seems like it's got Simicast still to come back. I mean,
and I think
with this guy as well, you just don't want to upset the balance in there. There's a nice chemistry and balance. People coming in, playing well, others having a rest. People looking like they're understanding that. Remember Trent early in the season when he was being taken off and didn't like it. Now we're seeing the benefit of, you know, him being fully fit and being able to last games out. Salah's the same. So, no, you're right. I mean, they did Chiesa, didn't they, in the summer? They've done no business again. But if you've got people fit, you've got a strong enough squad that looks pretty good when it's necessary. You've got all the kids. Some of the young Dan's played up front recently, didn't he? I think he played midweek. So you've got a few kids coming from their academy as well who can hold their own. So, no, I'd agree. Right now, why would you ruffle any feathers? I mean, on the track, I mean, there's a lot of games to come, and that's maybe where people are saying it's a little bit of an insurance policy, but I mean, this fella right now can't do anything wrong, and his manner and the way he sets his team out. So I read again, little stat: 6 of their wins this season, I think, is mostly 2-0 wins, which tell you everything about his team. Generally, don't give too much away. Control matches with their football, and you know, with the front 5 that we know, they'll get goals. It's almost like a 2-0 as a comfortable kind of Liverpool win. Kind of sums up Arne Slot and this group, and kind of says why I can't see a big drop-off between now and the end of the season, mate. I just can't.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Drop-offs. Talking about drop-offs, our next game. Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 2. Now, this was going on, Rob, in a little window, wasn't it, with other games?
Yeah, it didn't see
actually, today, wasn't it? Today was the game was going on today. Gosh, now I know the news is that, and then was the experiment up front with Kobe Mainoo as the main striker. You had Ahmad up there, you had Garnacho, you had the front 3 players, Rob. Again, he's experimenting, Ruben Amorim, and I think there were some bright moments. We saw highlights, we saw hit the post.
Bits of it,
Mainoo, but ultimately, I looked across at the game many times, of course, and Palace looked good, and Jean-Philippe Mateta had chances, and Manchester United again. Are struggling, and they're losing so many games. Now, I know what's going on, and we know what Amorim's doing. He's having a look at different people in different spots, and there's tweaks to this system. It's not all about, he can do things a little differently within his structure that he likes. I mean, is this so? I mean, is it okay, Rob, for this amount of losses? I think it's a record amount of home losses at this point in the season.
Seven home losses in 1800s. 1800s. I mean,
what do you make of it? What do you make of it?
Well, because of what's happened over the last 10 years, because of the situation they've been in, this guy has been given almost a free pass till the end of the season. So I think knowing that, he's cleverly deciding, you know what, I'm going to try all experiments. Yeah, in the past when somebody's come in, and I think you talked quite at length about, like, when Klopp came in at Liverpool, we saw some progression even though he was building up.
Always,
When Arteta came in at Arsenal, we saw some progression even though we weren't...
Slow start, then progression.
Yeah. With this guy, we're not seeing that. Now, the question is, who or where does that point to? Let me throw something at you from this game, which was the first thing I wrote when I was watching the game. Obviously, keep my eye on it because you kind of sensed it might not go quite to plan. 2 teams playing exactly the same system. 3-4-2-1. Crystal Palace look better than Manchester United in that system. Are Crystal Palace players being better coached, or do Crystal Palace have better players? Or what is the reason that this Manchester United group cannot function in this system in a way that we're seeing the progression? Because that's my question. I get the experiments, and Mainoo, I didn't particularly think it was the right move, but you look at something, you don't know till you try it. There was a couple of things that might give you a bit of encouragement, but I don't think by any means it's a done deal. yes, you're getting some of the extra players in. You might be squeezing players in positions that aren't their best, but you're getting your best 11. That doesn't work. There's no balance to the team. So an Arsenal, Crystal Palace team, mate, that is done particularly well under a very smart manager. Are they a better team than Man United?
Well, I'm going through the team, and I'll tell you right now. Is Dean Henderson better than Onana? Kind of close. Kind of close.
Similar. I'll go similar. Yeah.
But I got, anyway, Tarek Mitchell, left wing back, better. So they've got a better left wing back, Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Daniel Munoz, he's actually a better right wing back than what they've got. He's better. He's a really good wing back, actually. Really good.
United could do with somebody like
Absolutely right. Yeah, great
knows
energy.
the role, yeah.
They've got a better centre forward than Man United. Jean-Philippe Mateta. Numbers say it. Everything says it. So there's 3 players right off the bat who are better. Mark Gahey, defender. I don't think there's a better Manchester United centre back than Mark Gahey. Lenny Yoro is going to be a good player. Looks a little weak at this level right now.
Yeah, it does.
So there's 3 or 4 players. After that, maybe much of a muchness. You know, Bruno's still a quality player.
As it would get in the United team, fit.
Great point. I haven't got. He come off the bench.
He came on as sub, didn't he? He came on as sub and out with a free kick.
Yeah. So again, a player that could really use.
Wharton might be one of those holding two.
Absolutely right. Another player that came off the bench, Rob, a very important player. He's as good as a central midfield player, probably. I mean, I like Bruno. Bruno's really good for me.
But he's similar. I would say he's better than Agate.
So these 2 teams, Rob, one's got 30, one's got 29. Crystal Palace have got 30. So there you go. And that's why maybe we're seeing all these losses, because the squad is not very good. And I think Patrick Dorgu, the left attacking young 20-year-old from Lecce they've picked up is going to be a help at left wing back, more like your Tarek Mitchell, player that can run.
Yeah, it's a big role in this system.
It's a big role. He's a little raw, this player. He's a little raw. He's super talented. He's quick. He's got a great engine up and down, exactly what you need for left wing back. So he's going to help, and that was a priority for Manchester United. But that's the start of it. You know, they're going to need others. And again,
but based on what you're saying, Rob, based on what you're saying, that you know, not good enough, tick tick, cross. That's not going to happen this summer. That's not going to happen by next summer. That's 3 or 4 windows of a lot of activity.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
will the patience going to last that 3 or 4 windows? Was the patience going to last 2 seasons? Have we got 2 more seasons of this before we can sort of say, well, that's better. That's more like an Amorim team.
No, well, you know what we always look for, Rob, and it's progression. So I ain't saying you can't have 2 seasons of no progression. Then you're starting to ask questions. But of course, he's got time. Yeah. And I expect there to be progression. Different players will come in. And I expect it will get steadily better. But this is a long, you know, the last round of recruitment, you know, we know about a couple of players, Rob. We know that Mazraoui is decent, always going to be a solid fullback. That's a decent acquisition. I didn't say it's one of those that moves the needle too much.
Yeah.
Now, the players that could move the needle, you know, Zirkzee, but no, he's probably not. He's probably not the player they thought he was going to be. You know, Højlund. I know you've gone off him a little bit recently again, but I agree. Maybe not the player that. So these are recent signings that are maybe more that aren't quite the standard that Man United would want or expect. So even though there's a new regime, and it's a tough regime, and the fans are frustrated because prices are going up and there's been cuts and everything else, they haven't done the signings haven't been great. The whole Dan Ashworth, director of football, that was hired, then he was fired or he left. So it is going to be a while. I just, at some point, the fans will expect, you know, come on, we should be winning some games here. I know the experimentation.
If you're a smart coach, if you're a smart, super young, impressive coach, at some point you've got to start putting a series of results together, haven't you? To give belief and give yourself a little bit more time.
But well done, Palace, Rob. Eh? Well done, Palace.
Yeah, just going to say, big JP Mateta, my friend. Like I say, difference in the penalty box. He looked like confidence had gone. He couldn't find a way under Roy, and since Glasner's come in, looks completely different player, doesn't he? The way the team's set up.
Yeah, and they were struggling a few weeks ago, Rob, weren't they? Or maybe a couple of months ago now, 2 or 3 months ago, towards the start. They had a terrible start. They were right down towards the relegation. And
he's jumped above United.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. All right, let's move on. Next game. So kind of other results now a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with Nottingham Forest 7-0 against Brighton.
I mean, this is where this league is absolutely. I mean, how could you lose 5-0 last weekend and win 7-0 this weekend?
Yeah, yeah. I of course watched the game and stuff, and there were some performances from Forest that I enjoyed. I mean, he messed around with the system a little bit, Rob, and I did.
Went
to
back three again, didn't he?
He went to back three.
Didn't he go to back three?
Yeah. And he hasn't done that for quite a while.
No.
And I did think, is he overreacted?
He did it on one game I saw, Rob, and they ended up drawing because I was the same. Like, he brought Morata in and changed it, and I just like, why has he done that after a win? But they drew that game, so listen, maybe he knows more or just wants a little bit more structure at the back there.
And it was a classic Forest performance, Rob. Yeah. Brighton were a good opponent. They're expansive. They're on the back of losing to Everton, where the manager said that we couldn't break down a low block. He's thinking this is going to be another low block. So let's put more attacking players out there to try and find a way past a low block. No, mistake, naive management from Fabian Hürzeler.
Yeah,
he's got the most attacking midfield I think I've seen. Like you had Jack Hinchelwood and you had Ruter, Pedro, kind of alongside him. Like they're out and out forwards, and then Minter and Matoma and Welbeck. Yeah. And you try and pick a way through. Forest are going to be like, okay. Like we'll soak it up and we're gonna slice through you on the counter. So, Fabian Hürzeler, Rob's had some good moments, and we've all been impressed the way that he's handled press conferences, and some of the performances have been really good. This is a bit of a moment for me.
I still think Rob, and I like him a lot. I like the football. I like the way he plays. I sense a little bit of immaturity. He's a young man, and he's 32 something. He's said one or two things, done one or two things. I think he's had a few yellow cards and red cards and got involved with stuff. And just, he's going to have to just, bite his lip a little bit and learn from this league and understand what this league and the demands are about. I mean, no doubt he's a very talented coach, but I still feel there's a bit of growing up to get with this guy.
Yeah, and we know the club, we know Paul Barber, we know what they're all about. And by the way, they at the end of the season, they do a full assessment. Do a full assessment. And I'm not saying that he's under any sort of pressure, but this football club and the director of football, they know what they're doing. And if they feel there's been an underperformance, they got other people in all the major spots in the club that might come in to replace the ones in the current position. So again, I'm not saying they're 10th right now, which is still really good.
Yeah, I don't think there's any issue now, but I hear what you're saying. This isn't a club where you'll get away with those things and people won't know. You have to be accountable for that. Yeah. We've got to talk Forest though, mate, haven't we?
Yeah.
7 goals. Chris Wood, 17 Premier League goals. Chris Wood, 70. I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, he's going to get 20 goals, 20 Premier League goals in a Nottingham Forest team. Yeah. And that's incredible, mate.
Yeah, it is incredible, and talk about he just plays within the posts of the. He doesn't really go wider than the width of the goal for crosses, tap-ins, and we're not. This is not my underappreciated performer, Rob, but he was strong up there, and I absolutely. And we in the studio we kind of talk about the player of the day really, and the player of the day most people thought on Saturday was Chris Wood, and brilliant. But Anthony Elanga, and I'm not going to give it him, but he's underappreciated. Flippin' heck, Manchester United, they'd love to have him now. And if you watch him play, he runs like the wind. His body is made for running really quickly. It looks so effortless. He glides across the pitch. His crossing was immaculate. Chris Wood at the back post, Rob, where he hangs the ball up.
Yeah,
he fizzes another one low for Wood to tap it in. I thought Elanga... And I think, we know about Gibbs-White. Hudson-Odoi can do his thing, but Hudson-Odoi is not as good as Elanga for me. Elanga really is stepping up to be a very effective player, particularly in this system. Counter-attacking, bags of energy, one of the quickest in the league, and the final ball. So I just wanted to make sure...
He's a perfect player for that system, the way he wants to play. And
Chris Wood's loving
him, Rob. And Chris Wood's I think we've got to say... No, he's just making the most of what he's got, Rob, and who he is. He's not getting himself in positions that are going to make it difficult. He's not. He knows he's not like it. He's not a Ronaldo. He's not a Messi. He's not going to score goal. He has to be part of the build-up. He's a big part of the press when they win the ball in the middle of the park, and he gets himself in good positions when the ball's in the box. And when you talk of Anthony Elanga, I heard a really interesting article probably about a month or so ago where he talked about being let go by United was a big thing for him, and it hurt him, and he wants to prove people wrong. And we don't half know when you've got something like that in your belly, and a bit of hunger and a bit of proving people wrong. And he's certainly doing that at the moment. 3 assists yesterday, and as you say,
and just to add on to that, Ross, sorry to interrupt. Just like, first off, having something to prove, right? And second off, when you're that player that's on the edge at Man United, right? You get overlooked a little bit. You know, in terms of notoriety and of focus. And now you go to another club where he's got something to prove, and he starts to prove it, and he starts to become one of the most important players. All of a sudden, everybody wants to interview him. Everyone wants to have a photo with him. Everyone wants an autograph. It's a whole different dynamic.
Which is the things he would never go at Man United. Man might be looking at the press room saying, you know, anybody want to speak to me, by the way? I'm here.
Yeah. And now he's getting all of it, and he's got to be loving it. So fair play to him, and fair play to Nuno Espirito Santo. He said he's going to go back to basics. Brilliant job.
It'd be great to see them in European football, mate, wouldn't it? Of any type. I know people saying, well, they won't stay in this and that, but European football of any type back at the City Ground would be a brilliant thing off the season that they've had so far.
Yeah, and they by the way, it's probably going to be 5 for the top.
Yeah, it could be top.
After qualifying and the English teams, it looks like we might get another spot. So if Forest can finish in the top 5 to play Champions League football, that'd be dreamland for them.
Let's go to Molyneux, my friend. Okay. There was a big game here. 2 big West Midlands clubs. Wolves 2, Aston Villa 0. I mean, there's been a lot about Aston Villa in recent days. The John Duran transfer to Saudi, the talk of the offer for Ollie Watkins from Arsenal, you know, through Champions League win in the week against Celtic that gets them through to the next stage. Then the talk of possibly Marcus Rashford, my friend, going on loan with a possible option to buy. So there was plenty going on around this game, and it's interesting. I think we were doing the game a couple of weeks ago, and one of our researchers said, no, they've got really poor record after a Champions League game. I think they've only won once.
1 in 7.
Is it Aston Villa? Yeah, 1 in 7 after Champions League. So probably no surprise in that respect that Wolves got the win. Bellegarde with the first goal. And Cunha with a lovely finish late on. And then I read after the game, Rob, that Cunha signed a 3-4 year contract. So it was kind of all going on in this game, on and off the pitch.
Yeah, fair play.
Where are Villa in losing Duran? Watkins got a bit of an injury. Looks like maybe possible groin. They were talking about. He came off at half time. Could it unravel a little bit for Villa if we're not careful?
No, they're exhausted. They're knackered. Like and this has happened. You know, they have these emotional. They had another emotional game where they come through 4-2 against Celtic. They finish 8th, wasn't it, or 7th or 8th? They finish where they want to finish 8th in the league table. They skipped 2 games as a playoff, which is marvellous.
Absolutely.
They're a little beat up. And I think and we said this, or I certainly said it, Rob, at the start of the season. It's so difficult. You know, and they did buy players, Philogene and a couple of others, Rob, and they've had to retool and rethink that. And they're in the middle of doing it right now. There's a day left in the transfer window. They are busy. And, you know, they need numbers. John Duran, allowing him to leave as a story. It was a big offer. I'm disappointed that top flight European football is going to miss his player. I'm not a fan of the decision of him. It's his own choice, of course, and the money on offer in Saudi is amazing. I think at that age, come on, you ain't going to be short for money.
He's a footballer.
You're a footballer. Come on, show us it.
I mean, I've heard the other argument, Robin, that you have to put it that he can go there for 3 years and the kind of money that sets him up and still come back. He's 24 years of age.
Oh, is he? Yeah. No, he's younger than that, isn't he? I don't think he's that old. I don't think he's 24.
Yeah, but... well, if he's younger, even more the point. Yeah. People are saying that, you know, he can go in the money and still come back to Europe as a young man and still go on in and prove things, win things, do whatever. I mean, I can't knock somebody who decides that he was playing Major League Football 2-3 years ago, wasn't he? Chicago Fire? Is it right? And that way it came from?
But gosh, Rob, like a bit more patience. If he waits to the summer and he's not playing much and these new players come in, I'm sure the club will listen to offers and there'll be a ton of clubs that would want him. There has been a ton of clubs that want him in the Premier League,
Absolutely,
in Italian football or Spanish football or French football. There's a ton of really good clubs, or in the Bundesliga, and to go across there. And you're right, he's young enough to come back and recover, but his development, these are key. I think he's 20. These are key years to learn, to develop, you're right. It's up to him, and fair play and good luck to him. But I think, gosh, like, anyway, that's one thing. Marcus Rashford, Rob, in the studio, when asked about it, I said, I kind of like it. I like it for Man United. They're going to save some money. He's not going to play again for them, or he's fallen right out with them. For Aston Villa, it's a loan. It's a loan with an option to buy, so they can try and see if they can get Rashford back to his best, out of the Manchester, out of the football club, a new challenge, a brilliant manager, Nuno Emery. Let's see what he can do. If it doesn't work out, you've paid a fair bit in wages, but I think that's worth the try. They need a wide player. I'm not sure whether Leon Bailey's going to stay at the club. They've lost John Duran. I think it's pretty good for all concerned, Rob. Rebecca and Tim were not quite so sure it was that great for Villa.
Oh, yeah, I quite like it. Well, I actually really like it, because I think he'll go under a good manager who will make sure he understands his roles and responsibilities. And if he doesn't do the things he needs to do in a Villa team, he won't be playing. So he'll be going there and he won't be playing. And I don't know whether there's anything linked on, appearances with his money. So you have to be playing to earn your top money and blah, blah, blah. I think it'll reignite him. I think, not sure, could he play Champions League? Could he register for Champions League?
I think they can redo at the knockout phase.
Yeah. So he's got a chance of being available.
He should be good anyway.
If Ollie Watkins does take knocks, needs a rest certain games, he can play down the middle. Maybe someone will suggest it's not his favourite or best position, but he can play across any of those three positions in the front line. That gives you variety. I think he might quite like a dressing room that looks like it's got a decent group of people. We've seen him close when we had the Summer Series tournament. Got to see, John McGinn and one or two of the players. Look like they're a good bunch, Rob, who'd bring him in and put an arm around him and get him going. And the upside to Marcus Rashford, I think, is worth the gamble in the position that Aston Villa are in.
It's funny, Rob, just again, this, like I said at the start of this podcast, there's so many stories of every club. It feels like we could be here for hours. The other thing there, the headline, I believe, confirmed Marco Asensio from on loan from PSG, who was a Real Madrid player forever, won 3 Champions League titles, is a similar sort of player to Marcus Rashford, with Daniel Malen and Asensio. I mean, Rashford's got a fight to get in the team. They got some really, really similar type of players, the wide forwards that can score. I mean, Asensio, fair play. I mean, Villa, Rob, just we should probably move on in a second, but I've said it before. This is a big club. This has got great history, and it's ambitious right now. My goodness, they want to join. They want to join the big boys of this league, right, and right around those top areas. And 8th right now. Difficult.
Well, I think Aston Villa, Rob, look at it, at Manchester United and Spurs right now, and know that they could be challenging them for a top 4 spot.
Yeah. Well, they want to lock in right now, Villa. And they've always shown ambition with money spent and players bought. So now, in the summer, watch the space with this club. It's going places. And again, like they're 8th right now. It's been difficult, but they want to upgrade in some of their playing department. Anyway, let's move on to the next headline. What we got here? We are at Brentford.
We're at the G-Tech.
We're at the G-Tech. Brentford, very strong. The team that scored the most goals. Always
score at home.
And they're going against the Tottenham Spurs.
Spurs go and get a clean sheet, my friend. And Spurs go and put in a professional, controlled performance, that we've not. The one thing we've been saying, and you can do this a slightly different way. Yeah. I thought it was a outstanding performance, Rob, by a weakened team with issues that we've known and the injuries and some of the younger players who are having to get through minutes. I thought were excellent.
Yeah, I mean, it looked normal. It looked, you know, it's okay to defend together and to be compact and to counter-attack. As the second goal was a lovely counter-attack move.
Yeah,
a lot of teams do this, and you don't have to dominate the game with the ball in every match, particularly when you haven't got a lot of your best players out there. And I'm not, you know, maybe he's figured it out a little bit, Rob. And we said this. We said that the league table has to make the manager consider how he's doing it. You know, when you start to get towards a relegation zone, which they really were, you have got to find ways to get results, and he's done it. And fair play, he's done it. And I think, like me and you and some old timers that value the effectiveness of grinding at times to stay away from the relegation zone and playing your way out, in inverted commas, is difficult when you're a bottom team. Yeah. No, when you're down there, they're not a bottom team. But when you're in that area and you haven't got to expect to still play silky football and to win a lot of games like that, it's sometimes unrealistic. And this was a little bit no drama. Fullbacks that not playing as number 10s, you know, really well defended. Lots of good performances. I thought for somebody to give a shout out, and I don't think we've done him before, Jed Spence. Spence, who was a club signing when Conte was there and didn't feel like he wanted him. He's been patient. I thought he had an excellent game at left back, Rob, but he's not really a left back. No.
I've seen him last couple of weeks, Rob, and I thought he's possibly been their most consistent defender. Got good pace. He's on his opposite side. He takes his defending seriously. Looks like he's committed to the cause, wants to prove a point, wants to show the manager that, you know, maybe he's an option for the right-hand side as well. I think it's a really good shout, and I think he's one of them that's been brushed over in this period where they've struggled defensively, struggled on that left-hand side. He's gone in there and almost solved the problem for Ange.
Yeah, and to be fair to the manager, I think he's rested and rotated pretty well. The Europa League game on Thursday, lots of players played 45 minutes. They come into this game, played 45 minutes.
In there,
The only thing that was a bit of a mystery was Mickey van der Ven was asked about. He was asked about him because he played 45 minutes on Thursday, and at least you'd think he'd be involved on the bench, get some more minutes, but he was not on a team sheet or whatsoever. And the manager, Ange, was asked about it pre-game, and he said, well, he's just, you know, we're managing his minutes. So that's the only, maybe slight concern. They do have a huge game on Thursday, Rob, the second leg of the Carabao Cup against Liverpool.
They were holding Van der Ven back, isn't it? There were suggestions that Van der Ven might have been fit, and they were holding him back for that game. Maybe. So, he's maybe looking at a couple of people. So that is a key game. Liverpool on Thursday in the League Cup, and then they got Aston Villa following that in the FA Cup. So a couple of big games for Ange, and obviously we know that he's winning trophies in his second season, and there's a couple of opportunities for him. Yeah, still on course to do it. Okay, my friend, let's move it. I mean, one of the stories of this weekend has to be Everton 4, Leicester 0. Now, Everton don't ever score 4.
I know. Impossible. They can't.
It's just. I mean, it takes Sean Dyche's team 4 months to score 4 goals, possibly. So, I mean, I don't know what Moyes doing. Everybody talks about maybe he's the old style, but somehow he's loosening things up. There's no Calvert-Lewin. There's Beto up front. There's Decore in the roles where we see he can be dangerous. And Jai coming off the left-hand side and causing problems. And one of the fastest goals, I think 4th fastest goal in Premier League history, 10.4 seconds for the first goal. Decore gets it, and then from then on, within 5 minutes, Beto's got the second, and it was a bit of a sorry tale for Leicester, but incredible turnaround for Wolves. What, 3 wins in 4 now for David Moyes?
I mean, the 3 wins on a spin.
Yeah, put a nice gap between them and bottom 3, bottom 4. And I think we talked before, we just don't see David Moyes and this team being part of the relegation fight, but there's the evidence, and there's a bit, you know, I'll go back to the question Rebecca said, what does David Moyes do that Dyche doesn't? Somehow he frees it up, Rob. Somehow he builds a bit of confidence in the attacking areas of the pitch, puts maybe a bit more onus on that kind of work.
Yeah, I think he does. He said it. He said it after match day 1, Rob. Like after what he's seen, he said we need more numbers in the box, more crosses going in there, more efforts, more players forward, more attacking runs from fullbacks as well. So he's turned the dial up. And it's a really interesting experiment. We saw a very respected manager in Sean Dyche, Rob, that did a really good job stabilising his football club through some really difficult and choppy waters, but wasn't able to go a little further. And this is a really good example of real evidence what a different manager can do. When we talk about David Moyes, we do think of his career as a whole, and we do remember some of the bad times, the difficult times, the Man United times, and the times at clubs where it's got a little stale. But we should remember more the impressive times and the really good work times, to the point that I'm giving my underappreciated performer to David Moyes. And I think this day going forward, Rob, we have to realise, and I do, what a good manager he is. And it isn't always the silky football. I particularly like the beautiful game, and it isn't always that. But the game's about more things than just the way that you play. He is proven now in different jobs, in different circumstances, where it's a clear difference of the manager, Mama Pellegrini. Then he comes in at West Ham United. He does it twice at West Ham United, pulls them away from trouble, establishes them, wins a European title. He's doing it again at Everton. He is an underappreciated manager throughout his career, possibly. Not to maybe those at Everton who are seeing it again now, but to maybe some parts of the football world that weren't really convinced about how good he is.
Absolutely.
I think he's showing it right now. And fair play to David Moyes. I want to give him my nod because he has made a remarkable... I mean, Beto scoring 2 goals in a game. Come on, who could ever see that coming? So well done, David Moyes. He gets my underappreciated.
It's a great shout, my friend. Absolutely great shout, because I think many people are, the West Ham fans, and many sort of see him as yesterday's man, and he's not got all the buzzwords and the horse faces and the modern coaches and the pressing, but he doesn't half know a football club, mate. He knows a football player. He knows he can look, he can see, he can smell, he can feel, he can influence things, and he's getting a tune out of a team that didn't look like they had this kind of attacking threat, mate. And we looked at Everton and thought, well, all along we said defensively they'd be sound, back four and decent goalie, but are they going to get enough goals?
Trust them a bit more.
He's gone the other way. And this Jacob Bryan, who's come in, mate, has done pretty well. He just quietly, I think he's a young centre-back who can play right side or as one of centre-backs. He's just added to a little bit of the structure that they've got at the back. But no, it's a great shout, David Moyes, and the job he's done at Everton. And that's a big win, because he talked about it being a crucial game against Leicester. And they blew them away with the 2 early goals and went on to score 4. So... good days from Moyes. Rude's got a bit of work on, I think, at Leicester City, as we said, defensively. They're the opposite, Rob, in terms of not particularly scoring many goals at the other end, Vardy apart, and give goals for fun at the back. Some of the defending, when you see the goals and people being played through, is... I think there's some work to be done on the training ground for Rude. Let's move on to St James's Park. Another surprise result, although we shouldn't be surprised by Marco Silva. Newcastle 1, Fulham 2. Newcastle go ahead through a lovely Murphy goal, a bit of a counter-attack with Anthony Gordon involved, and then Jimenez gets an equaliser from a assist from Anthony Robertson, his 10th assist in Premier League this season. Then Muniz flicks in a free kick to give Fulham a really famous win at St James's Park.
Yeah, Newcastle, just a bit of a strange team, aren't they? They're a bit of a strange team. And this inconsistency, they've got to be really careful. They're still sat in 5th. They're still on course for a Champions League position. But I don't know, you kind of, like, sometimes...
They throw one in every now and then, don't they? Every now and then they throw something in.
They look brilliant in certain games. And you see that midfield and Isak and everybody else and Murphy and Gordon. And then sometimes you get this odd result. The final one, Rob, just to wrap up everything now, is Ipswich. Another strange result. Ipswich Town 1, Southampton 2. Southampton get their second Premier League win of the season in a game where you think, Ipswich, go on then. This is the home game. You can get 3 points. You can get out the relegation zone, I think, at the time, if they would have won the game. And they go and blow it. They blow it. And that's such a shocking result for them. Leaves them still in touch. But fair play to Southampton, Rob, and Juric, the manager. And they're playing for a little bit of pride right now. You know, miraculous to even think they might get out of it. They got to go on an incredible run of wins.
That's a big blow for McKenna and Ipswich, though, Rob, because they look like they've done Southampton. So that's 3 points that you've badly lost and puts them under pressure now. And it's looking 3 from 4 in the way Wolves are going and Cunha staying. They can't afford to let them get away. So it looks like 2 from 3 with Southampton gone. But yeah, good result for Southampton. Listen, they might start playing freer, Rob, and you know what? We've seen this happen in the past, haven't we? But even if they go down, but winning a few more games, putting pressure on teams who still need to get 1 or 2 results themselves. Listen, mate, that's it for this week. On a week when you've said it, it's been like every result in the Premier League you could look at, scratch your head and say, how has that happened? But it was a day when the big game Arsenal put 5 past the reigning champions to keep their pursuit of Liverpool top of the table. Nottingham Forest got 7. Manchester United have lost 7 games at home now this season for the first time since the 1800s. We'll be back on February the 16th. That's a couple of weeks. We've got a weekend off for FA Cup action next week. So remember, February the 16th, match week 25. And don't forget, tomorrow we've got a London derby. Chelsea host West Ham, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on USA. I'm calling it the Graham Potter Derby. Let's see how that one goes. But for now, I'm Earle, he's Mustoe, together with the 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching or listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.